Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video, but with a difference. We've got a special guest on today. Coming back. It's been a while, my dude. Ash is joining us today. How you doing, man?
It has been a while, man. People said we were beefing, bro. They didn't say that. I'm making that up, but it has been a hot minute, man. I'm glad to be here. How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Look, guys, there's going to be a link down below for another collab on Ash's channel. Make sure you go check that out as well and subscribe to that fine fella if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. But I guess today, man, we're going to be looking at champions that have changed our Raid Shadow Legends lives. So the top 5 that when we pulled them, they either made this dramatic difference to our account or they continue to make a dramatic difference. Some of them won't anymore, but some of them do. So I think it's going to be a fun one because a little bit down memory lane as well.
Yeah.
For our kind of like raid experience. I mean, we've both been playing now for, well, over 5 years, right? So it's
yeah.
It's
I mean, I started right after the. It's funny, you almost remember when you started based on the fusion that was near it, don't you?
Yeah,
like,
true.
way?
Yeah.
Like I started near the Actually, I started right after like the Halloween, like the Brachus fusion.
Did you? Yeah. So I
Mistreated
started.
Monster, Madame Ceres, you know.
Yeah, I started for the Foley fusion, which was kind of like touted as the worst one that there's ever been, and like people remember it with this kind of like awful kind of experience of a fusion. So yeah, that's where I kicked in.
I think so. That was right before me, I want to say.
I think it probably was. Yeah, it might be like 1 or 2 maybe fusions before.
Yeah, old school. But yeah, it's weird when you look back down memory lane, and some of these choices I'm sure will surprise some people. Some people won't, right? But like some of these choices are like at the time they made a world of impact. And I don't know about your list, and I don't want to foreshadow too much, but I have no mythicals on my list.
No, right, cool.
It kind of speaks to where my account was at the time that mythicals were introduced. I didn't need, like, there wasn't a lot of opportunity to make a huge dramatic, change as there was on some of these polls. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, let's kick it off then. So as a guest, you can go first. Let's hear your first champ.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, I'm just going to go with a rare. And
okay. Nice. Spicy start.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's not a shocker to anybody, but to be true to the spirit of the video, it's Cold Heart. But I could probably say it's 2 Cold Hearts because both of my first Cold Heart polls made a massive impact on my account. And now, like, nowadays it feels easier to get your hands on Void Rare. I guess it doesn't, though. I mean, I guess there's more ways to get Void Shards in the game than it was back in the day. But I remember, like, it took me relatively long, especially for a spender, to get my hands on Cold Heart, and I finally got her, and immediately just the impact of having that quad hitter on that A1 for my Fire Knight progression at the time, the wave killing on the A2, and then just Heartseeker. Like, it was better than any legendary I had in terms of damage at the time, in terms of control at the time, and being able to use that in so many places. It just wasn't until very recently on my account. And, I guess I'm in Kraken territory that I didn't really have a lot of use for Cold Heart, like very recently. And I still use her in some like more niche areas, like, restrictive content.
Well,
but
So actually, I've got her on this year's free-to-play series. I picked her up super early, and you just remember again like how impactful she is. So the content's kind of changed a little bit nowadays because a lot of bosses for like Doom Tower and stuff, the Heartseeker turn meter drop is not as effective as it was, and there's kind of like more caps on how much damage that Heartseeker can do on like higher level content. But still, pick her up on an early account. She's just a rare that's still worth like leveling out, and there's not many now. I'd say there's, honestly, you could count on one hand, I think, how many rares that you probably should level out, unless you're talking like Secret Rooms or Cursed City or something. Like it's very few, but she's still up there.
No, nice, I love my Cold Heart. She's a beast. I wish they made more rares like Cold Heart, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go back to one of my first, I guess, dramatic game changers for me.
Okay.
And now he's honestly a pile of trash. Like he's so in need of a buff, it's crazy. But Old Tan for me was an absolute game changer. This was
Dude,
before.
You did not lie about the pile of trash, man. I hate this dude.
He's so bad now.
He's awful,
he's
man.
so power crept. It's insane. But
buff him, Plarium. Buff this dude.
Oh man, give him a buff. Give him like the Hell Hades buff. Come on.
They're out there buffing Venus and Tomb Lord instead of Altan.
Yeah, but when I got him, he was the number one go-to choice for clan boss for a decreased attack A1 and an increased defense A2. Which was just rare on a free turn, basically. That's it. That's all he's got, and he hit hard.
Like juicy aura, man. Yeah.
Yeah, good aura as well. Like I was just like, when I picked him up, he was huge, and I even like played around with him being in an arena setup where I went for this kind of like tanky defensive team, and he was able to revive people and get my team back in the game, sort of thing. He was super fun, and he hit hard. Like for a defensive champion, he hit super hard. But man, I haven't used him in a long while. He's so trash now. But for me, it was a dramatic change to my like clan boss performance. And again, this was before unkillables, all that type of stuff. Like it was just back to basics. Keep defense high whilst you're hitting hard, and keep decrease attack on. That was like, the pillars of doing a clan boss hit.
Dude, that's insane, man. I love that you went with a trash champion now to show how much the game is. Not to say that you did it for that reason, but it shows how much the game has changed.
So
right?
different.
Like,
yeah. So
that's
different.
Insane, dude. Altan.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Altan of the Shell for a second. I'm like,
no, man. He was never never a good pull.
I know.
Okay, man. Who's your next one?
Yeah, man. I really wanted to go well, whatever. I'm gonna go Undead Horde Seeker.
Okay, yeah,
man.
Sure.
This guy was the gift that kept on giving to yours truly, because when I initially pulled him, it was before Bat Eater comps even existed. And I don't think Deadwood Jedi even had his website up, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He was my arena like goat, man. Like I used this dude.
Nice.
He was my arena booster. That 30% boost.
Yeah.
On that A2, setting up my attack-based nukers too, and then getting that extra turn and going in and provoking somebody, like neutralizing somebody out the gate. He has that cool passive too with the increased defense, which can be nice, in the arena. But man, he was just like, I was using Skull Crown as my aura lead.
Nice,
and as my booster for so long. I farmed most of my Great Hall using Seeker as my like the motor that ran the team. And just that alone I don't think is enough to put him on my list. But then right as I was like upgrading to Arbiter or whatever, then that's when Bat Eater became the thing. And then he was like the main dude in my clan boss teams for 2 years before Wixwell. Like he was still my main dude.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that Seeker is still to this day the best or right in the conversation of the best in the entire game. I'm including every mythical, every legendary speed booster in the game. Why? Because he's got the 30% turn meter fill, which is so good. And he is essentially it's on a 2-turn cooldown.
Right? Extra turn,
because of that extra turn. That's why he was the speed booster, not some other random legendary in all those Bat Eater comps, because he was able to get back to it in 2 turns. So I still think he's a special champion, still a very good champion, but man, he was pivotal in a couple big areas when I needed him on my account.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, man. Well, I'm going to kick in with another undead, actually. Whilst we're here, I might as well just jump straight on it.
Ooh, can I guess?
And yeah, go for a guess. Yeah.
What rarity?
Legendary, this one.
Ooh, give me Siffy?
Close.
Okay.
It's
okay.
Rotus. Yeah, man.
Okay.
Nice. Dude, like this guy. So, pretty sure he was a fusion, right? It must have been a fusion. Was he? Or was he not? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah.
Fusion and Siffy was the hard to get, the impossible to get. Yeah.
Like this guy's been nerfed, and he was insane when I first had. Like, he would tear apart arena teams single-handedly. Like, you'd look at the opposition, and if they had a Rotus, and it was 4v1, you still didn't know if you were going to win. It was like one of those, like, if he gets a turn...
It's still like that, bro.
Yeah, if he gets a turn, then, like, he can literally just, snowball, block revive, into extra turn. Like, he was tough to beat. And obviously he's still good, but his block revive's way weaker now. His block revive's pretty much, like, null and void in most, like, arena-based content, because, you just got to stack out that A2 before it even works. But still fun. Still a fun champion, but... And actually, you know, in terms of he kind of then refound his way in live arena, right? In terms of you know, some good combinations there, and a very, very hard hitter that can just kind of like melt through pretty much any target. But yeah, really, it's been one of the most fun champions I think I've owned over the course of playing, in terms of like really like coming in with arena mechanics, which are just very different from anything else. That ability to just break the turn order and say, right, no, I'm coming in. And then having that combination as well, if you were lucky enough to get Sifi as well, that basically debuffs are irrelevant to this guy. Yeah, it's just a super fun champ. Super fun.
Dude, he's one of my go-tos now in live arena. Are you playing live arena seasons? Do you care about it?
I have not. So I tell you what I care about right now. Free to play live.
Free to play account. Yeah, I could tell by your content. Fair enough.
Honestly, like give it another 3 weeks, and that account is going back in the bin, and I'll be back into my main account. But my main account is not really getting a look in because I'm in competitive mode right now, trying to win the free to play challenge.
You're in like third place, fourth.
Yeah, third place. Yeah, and
dude,
pushing so hard,
man.
so hard.
That's insane. Yeah,
but it's a lot of time and a lot of work.
Yeah, I just had Bront on. I haven't released the video yet, but he's in first, at least the time they're recording.
Oh, he's killing it. Yeah.
But I was like, you were right there with him, man. I was like, damn, Hades putting in the work.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Good job, man. Good job. Rotos, I totally agree with you, especially like even with the nerf. First of all, he used to get like one shot ice going back in the day. Like it's some stuff, right?
Yeah.
But even after the nerfs, like he's been, what I would add to that is he's been a beneficiary of one of the biggest beneficiaries of blessings with the Ward of the Fallen was like made for him. Aspect of Siroth relics, like there's a lot of things that really complement his kit very nicely. And now with even like something as simple as ascension stats on gear, right? Like being able to get that extra HP flat stack.
Yeah, the fact that he uses 2 stats, it makes such a difference, right? Yeah,
it does. So
tanky as well.
Yeah, so he's still one of my favorites. In live arena is tricky, but if anybody live arena players out there too, especially if you're just getting into it, you just want to pick him last or late because he's easily blocked, you know, whether you do K or somebody like that or force a Harima. But even with that, to your point, man, you go against a Rotos, we've all been there. You're like, I got it. I got a victory. And he's sitting there at 50% HP and he wipes your whole team out. So yeah. I love Rotos. Good call.
Nice.
All right.
Well, turn,
I'm gonna go with Newt.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, damn.
Yeah. Like I'm sure I'm in the same boat as a lot of viewers, a lot of players, but I don't know how I can make this list and not put Newt because if you look at my squad, my teams, I think that Newt is on like almost all of them, you know. I actually lied. I might have to change my last pick, but I won't foreshadow too much. But Newt, because I was just thinking about who is on my team more than Newt on more teams on my account, and I have an answer, but Newt is right up there. I mean, that blessed dash, man, it's insane. It does absolute absurd damage. It's the hardest hitting enemy max HP ability in the game. Sure, like Marius can get back to his sooner, but Newt hits harder. And he has the built-in cruelty. He's got the AoE, the decrease attack, the weaken, the counter attack, all that control on his A1, the freeze for Fire Knight hard, the control for Fire Knight or anywhere. Man, he's insane, dude. Like
he's so good,
insane.
He's one of the few champions where as soon as I got a second one, I was as pleased as when I got the first one. Like, because it's just so good. It's like, okay, we're throwing them both in. We're throwing them both in because they're absolutely bonkers.
And if you ever get a third, you'll be like, excited again. Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I'm with you on that one. So he would have been in my list as well for sure. Like, so crazy. Yeah, such a crazy champion.
Hard to think of a list without Newt, you know?
Yeah, nice, man. Right, I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to go into Epic Town.
Okay.
And I guess a bit similar to what you spoke about with a man-eater, really. But there was a while. This is just, I think I'd been doing content for a small amount of time, but, you know, didn't have the sort of resources I had now. Certainly wasn't spending at the level that I do and all that type of stuff. And I was after man-eater. Specifically, actually, I was after 2 man-eaters for such a long time because I wanted to get an unkillable clan boss team going. And this champion eluded me for a while. And then at the time, I didn't have books, right? So it's like, every time I got a new book, I was like, I just need it to go into that A3 so I can actually use these guys. And I remember I had one man-eater, and I had Kaimar, and I was trying to make that work. I couldn't make it work. It was before all of like this proper speed tuning tools came out and stuff. So, oh man, like this, when I got to 2 and we're able to do like unkillable clan boss teams, like just such a feeling of change for my account. You know, it was back where it was hard. It used to be very hard to get a one T, well, hard to get a 2 T, honestly, team cracking on clan boss. And you really wanted a full auto team so you didn't have to manual that whole run, you know, all day long. And yeah, for me, it was a massive game changer for quality of life, but also like, you know, performance in clans. You know, at that point, it was hard for your clan to kill clan boss, you know? So for Ultra Nightman, you really wanted those double chests coming in. So yeah, pulling a Manny to just like move my damage up a ton. And yeah, grabbing the second one took me to that 1 key territory where I was really helping the clan. So yeah, cool champion.
I completely agree. Like back in the day, that was the, you know, that was the meta.
It was a legendary, wasn't it? It was basically a legendary pull. Yeah, back in the day.
It really was. It really was. And I remember, I'm sure you're the same way, but I've read hundreds of comments throughout the years, not so much recently, but throughout the years of like, I just been dying for Maneater, like just trying to get their hands on him, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I'm just going to go to it because I said I lied about it. I inadvertently left out a mythical. I'm sorry, Hades. I do have mythical on my list. Listen, I have Toshiro. I have Siegfried, who could easily be part of those conversations because I think they're elite at what they do.
Have you got most mythicals, by the way, now? I know I saw your recent video where...
Yeah, I have. I'm missing your Cometus and Nice. I'm missing... and I'm missing the new guy, Jord or whatever, Jorad. From the doors, but I have most everybody else, I think. But man, how do you like your Cometus, bro? I guess you're not playing your main account that much, right? So you're not.
Well, so he's kind of like laying in wait, honestly, right now. So there's going to be a whole bunch of content like dropping once I get back onto the main account.
Okay, yeah, he's my most one. Well, him and Nice both are like so insane. But anyway, it's actually Mikage.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I mean she's so freaking good, and the proof is in the pudding, right? I've said this on my channel before, but like when you can hem and haw, you can pick out 100 champions to change your account. You know, I'm leaving so many off, the Geos and the Seers and whatever. However, if you just look at what all my teams everywhere, Chimera, Hydra, Fire Knight, go through all.
Yeah, she's in loads. Yeah,
Mikage's in everything. She's that good. She just got, you know, the best ally attack in the game, the best silken snare, like that, the manipulation. She's doing 4 things on a 3-turn cooldown.
Yeah, it's
the fact that you can have a ninja or a Toshiro or whoever you have from Shadowkin join in. It's like a mini ally attack on the A1.
Yeah,
really nasty.
Just boosting damage so much, right? It's for like Hydra runs and stuff like that.
She's one of the best. She's tied with like 10 other champions for the fastest in the game at 115 speed. Yeah. She's got the weaken. She's got the stun. She's got the turn meter. She's got the decrease, the turn meter, the enemy of the highest attack. She's just so good. You know, she may be a little bit more simplistic than some of the other mythicals, but she's so good.
Sometimes that's nice though, isn't it? Sometimes it's just like, I just want to kind of know what they do. Like, without having to, you know, read a big thesis on it.
Like get ready for Embreeze in a week or two. You're like, oh man, I gotta learn all this stuff.
That's what I struggle with in Siege, honestly. Like, I'm like, oh man, I don't know, because I don't own that many of the mythicals. So I don't play with them a lot. So when they first come out, it's like, read the kit. Do they look good? Yes or no? But unless you're in it all the time, seeing them like and reacting to them, it's actually quite difficult to know all of those skill sets that are coming at you.
It is, because they do so much, and you often forget the little things. You remember the broad strokes. Oh, I know this champion does this, or the mythicals, you know? But sometimes you forget, oh, I didn't realize their A1 removed a buff on this alternate form or something, you know?
Yeah, and most of it's like irresistible. So they just end up doing something which catches you out.
And I don't have Embreeze, obviously. No one does at the time I was recording. But yeah, man, anyway, what were we talking about? Mythicals, something, they're good. Mikage, she's good.
We'll be fine, The other thing I was just going to say, actually, like, sometimes you don't take the time to appreciate, like, Mikage looks so good. Like, the second form, the spider form, is so cleanly done, honestly. It's amazing. Like, you have to hand it off to the art team. They've absolutely nailed it with this champion. Like, so good.
She does look incredible. Yeah. So Mikage, I can't get away. She's not like, yeah. What can I say? She's a billion champions I thought about placing. I actually had Marichka in this spot on my list, but
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean, I love Marichka. She's one of my favorite champions in the game, but I use Mikage a lot in a lot more areas, you know?
Sure. Okay, man. Well, I'm going to go into, I think this is my fourth one, right? So,
I think so.
Who was I going to pick? I just had one in my head. Oh, I know, yeah. So, this is a champion that is a faction unity, but probably one of the most fun champions I've ever owned. So, Teox. I actually did a poll when it was the Prism Shards, and I got 2 Teoxes in the same 10 pool, which was bonkers. Yeah, I was just like, whoa, I got one and another legendary in that same 10 pool. It's just like, what is going on? Because
I don't have them, so brag a little bit. Tell me about.
So much fun. In a similar way to what you've got there with that Mikage kind of ally attack, he's bringing someone else in, especially for Hydra. It just brings in a ton of damage. But I also use him a lot in Siege. So I've got a good team for Lizards for Arena. I'm using kind of like a combination of him with Ramantu, with Fide, and I've got Laz as the mythical. So that 4-man squad, we've got a lot of turn meter manipulation there.
Nice.
Setting him up with Ramantu, and then Teox comes in with the nuke. But also, if someone puts out a load of debuffs, he just basically cuts in and just annihilates people. So there's just so many things in this kit which are bonkers, honestly. Crazy damage, super fun mechanics, block revive in this kit as well. Like, I'd say, I mean, yeah, for me, he's just been the most fun champion I picked up. He's got extra turn mechanics, ignore defense mechanics. Like, he's everything you want from a nuker, but he also goes into lots of PvE content as well for just like fun, explosive damage. So
that's really cool, man.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Congrats.
It's really fun.
Congrats on 2 of them.
Yeah, 2 in the same tempo. I mean, I've done plenty of those prison pools where it's like, this was not worth my money. Like, it was bad, but that was the reverse, honestly.
Well, I did a really dumb thing, and I vowed Prism Shard. When they first came out, I'm like, dude, I'm not doing another damn shard. And I'm like, I'm never going to do a Prism Shard opening ever on my channel. And I've stuck to it. But subsequently, I realized that it is the best odds to get.
Yeah, it's both the best and the worst in terms of like no mercy kicking in, but when
there's no mercy
when they land, it's good.
Yeah. But if you really want a champion, so like I'm in this weird spot, catch 22 now. I'm like, oh, what do I do? But that's cool though. Congratulations. That's probably why I don't have many unities on my account. I'm missing most of them. You didn't get that dwarf unity, did you? Black Tusk?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people are chatting about him, saying he's top tier.
Pretty busted, yeah.
And this is what I've seen comments of people saying, don't tell me about shard events unless it's unity guys or mythicals, because they just feel like they're now power crept to this next level beyond a normal legendary. And clearly that's not the case with all of them, but I kind of get the sentiment in terms of...
No, they're pretty busted, man. I agree.
Yeah, the crazy levels of them, especially if you combine those 2 things. If you've got good mythicals alongside these unity guys, because unity guys are only as good as their faction or the champions you've got in that faction. If you don't have some of the other big hitters, then obviously their power level's not as strong. But for the people that do, damn, it's crazy.
Yeah, they just came out with the Shadowkin guy, so there's only 1 unity left. Yeah. It's interesting. Do you feel like my concern is that they're gonna have like some sort of a not mandatory usage, but you're gonna get some massive bonus beyond the inherent bonus in Faction Wars 2.0 when they release that.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess
I mean, certainly they're going to be super strong. Like, no matter which one you're doing, because you're obviously going to use all of that faction. So either way, they're really strong.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think, we're digressing a little bit, but I do feel like I used to do videos where it's like, these rares matter, and now rares don't really matter. And the epics have become the new rares, apart from like those top 10 or so. And so all of the gradings kind of like jumped up because of mythicals and these faction unity guys. It's now, the scope of the game has just like evolved. I think
it really is. It's kind of a bummer because they've actually released some pretty good rares over the last year. But like without empowerment, without the actual proper areas, like just giving like what 2 or 3 stages in Curse City is, and you know, Doom Tower is a few years old. I don't think it's enough to highlight like Ingid, Twiststaff, and Bosmith Flannan, Longsword, Turox, and Branch Arm
Yeah.
Lasair. Like I like all these even the Fusion Rare is not that bad, but it's like, okay, so you know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I've just built out for the first time a Templar to beat
I saw
Bommel
that video,
and to
actually.
beat
That was cool.
Scarab, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's slow as hell, but I didn't have any tools to be able to do it. And you know, taking on Bommel at like level, what is it, like 60 or 70 or something? You know, that's tough if you don't have the right mechanics and stuff. So yeah, just there's obviously still rares that mean something if you are newer to the game. But as soon as you've been playing for a reasonable level of time, they quickly drop off and get replaced. You know.
Yeah.
And same thing with honestly with epics now. There's that core group of epics which are still great, but you know the game's moving on. I'd say.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No,
we're
I mean,
literally massive tangent. So
Void Legos, Void Mythicals around the corner too. It's not going to be
coming,
any
man.
better.
It's coming.
Not
Yeah.
Any better.
Right. Give
Yeah,
us your last
I'm
one,
always
man.
good.
Who's your fifth one?
Yeah, I'm always good for a side tangent. Sorry.
Same.
Let's go with my Prince Kymar. You mentioned him earlier. My last champion is
Kymar,
Prince
yeah,
Kymar.
damn, he was going to be my last one as well. Right.
No
hit us up.
way.
Well,
He was my
let's
second
give our own
legendary.
versions of it then, because he definitely was going to be mine. So yeah, why is he for you?
Sure, he was my second legendary. My first was Biggin.
Nice.
And I remember I got into Raid because I had done a sponsored dedicated video with Chosen.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, because I was like, I hate doing dedicated videos on games that have already been around for a little bit of time without like knowing anything. And I know that we
Sure.
both we're both in that position sometimes. So I always like trying to get a guest. I know you've done that before too, like an organic guest from the game to help me out. So anyway, I pulled Biggin and Kymar, and I'm like, what do you think about Kymar, Chosen Brad? And he's like, he's all right. And truthfully, though, like way back in the day, like I feel like the Seal of Magic, it wasn't, I don't know, like we just didn't recognize how special
wasn't as well
ability,
known. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So 2 reasons for Kymar. Number 1 is he instantly went in my aura lead where Skull Crown was and upgraded my arena team. So I was running a Seeker and a Kymar and a Skull Crown for so long. That was like my trio. And then I rotate kind of my nuker, depending on who I got, or whoever else. I think I made it like Miscreated Monster or whatever. But anyway, he was my aura lead. That Abyssal Gaze, it still is, but boy, it was such a good opening move in the arena. For me, like the removal of buffs and the sleep, it's still, like I said, it's great. Obviously now with polymorph and stuff, things have changed and you can wake him up with the A1, but and then for a long time, I mean, this is years and years and years before the Yamekos of the world or anything were introduced. So we had like Renegade and Kymar, we didn't have many options for reset cooldowns, and Kymar was the creme de la creme in terms of
huge for any account.
So this was huge, and as they started to release more and more powerful champions, Seal of Magic became more and more powerful in itself because it allowed you to duplicate whatever that awesome champion was doing, So that parlayed into the days of my Seer resets and my Eleanor resets, and any team that was really kind of relied on one imperative ability, he was able to really get more out of that, obviously. So all around, he made a huge impact on my account.
No, I like that. Well, actually, I mean, the reasoning for me was very similar to that in terms of he was one of my first legendaries, my second legendary as well. My first was what's this guy's name? He literally lives in the vault nowadays and hasn't come out for a long time. What's his name?
Faction?
Scartorsis.
Okay.
Yeah, he was my first one. By the way, I pounded tons of legendary books into him thinking, great, I got a legendary. Yep. What a waste of books that was. But yeah, then Kymar was my second one. And I mean, I love Kymar. Very similar story, honestly. I used him a load at the start. And then he's become like he was a pivotal part of my account for a long time. And still was in a ton of teams. So I'll tell you, I'll call out one other then as someone who's different. And again, when I got him for the first time, Septimus was kind of, I guess, a bit like your Cold Heart story. Septimus was so cool, so much fun. I remember doing a video when I got him, like I was trying him out and all over the place. He was one-shotting the Ice Golem at a high level. He was one-shotting the Spider. Like he was doing stuff that nobody else could do. and I had tons of fun using this guy. And honestly, he's a bit like my old Tan. He's in the please buff me camp now. Like,
oh my god, he couldn't be further in the please buff.
Yeah, like
right.
He's gone from being this great enemy max HP champ to basically worse than an uncommon that does the same still, because of the way they changed the mechanics of bosses and the cooldowns and stuff. Just basically made him basically irrelevant. Like,
yeah, I mean, I use Septimus in one area, in one cursed city area against Scarab King and Destroy Gear, and he stays in that Destroy Gear. But you know what? It's like I mentioned him earlier, obviously, but Newt, man. I mean, Newt was like, hey, step aside, Septimus.
Oh,
because there's a new Spirit Affinity triple hitter max HP with a billion more things than you do. And that was the final nail in the coffin for Septimus.
Yeah, but then like even Armager, because of cooldowns and because of the cap of damage, Armager becomes the better version of him, which is crazy.
It's true.
Like,
and for new players out there, that's an uncommon.
Yeah, that's an uncommon champ. And you're like, oh man, like this guy was the damage dealer back in the day. Like he was the one to get that could unlock fast times and crazy hits and all that type of stuff. And I just wish that for a buff to this guy, if I was to like get my dream, it would be he doesn't adhere to those caps of damage.
Wow.
Like,
that is a dream, Hades.
That would be so much fun. Like suddenly he would be out of the vault again and people would be testing him out, because he's also got that damage boost of 30% more damage on his passive at the moment, which always made him better than the average enemy max HP champ. Yeah. But as soon as you got the damage cap in there, that may as well just say I've got no passive. Like it's irrelevant. So I mean, it would be fun if they changed him up. It would be fun.
I think that. Your solution's great, but like I even think that even just at this point making the Holy Sword just an AoE, that's the least
work as well. Yeah,
the least you can do. You know, at least you need some Hydra or whatever.
Or change it to a double hitter or a triple hitter. Like if that's a triple hitter, then again it's back in the realms of.
Or you could keep it a single. You could keep you're right. You could give it a double hit. Maybe even if it depends on where they want. If you really wanted to update them for the new content, you could have them put like a block active skills and a leech or something, like for Chimera trials
for
or
Chimera,
something.
Yeah,
you know?
like that.
But right now, oh man, my man is hurting.
Him and Old Tans, literally, they live in my vault and they're like, remember the days when we were good? Like, remember when HH used to use us all the time? Like, you know.
No. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. Yeah, Altan was on the top of my most wanted list way back in the day. I remember,
man.
Altan, Valkyrie, and Martyr. Those are the three I really need.
True, so true. Right? Oh man, that's been fun. Like, really enjoyed.
I love just chat,
little trip down memory lane there. Some of the cool champions that we've pulled along the way, and how the game has changed. Honestly, yeah, guys, don't forget, there will be a link down below. You can go and check out the other collab we've done on Ash's channel. Super fun. And don't forget to sub to this man. Ash, thank you so much for coming on.
Always my pleasure, Hades. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Guys, thanks so much. We will see you soon.